So when it comes to cards, patch is more or less another word for prime relic. Could be part of a team name or logo, could be part of a number, it could be part of a player nameplate, it could be a logo man piece, it could be part of the sponsor patch, it could be a commemorative patch, and so on and so on. Laundry tags are considered prime, but they're generally labeled as tags instead of patches. And I still kind of lump them in, though, because all these things form an additional layer of fabric that's either stitched on or pressed on. And I say pressed on because some stuff has been screen printed in the past. And if you don't know what screen printing is, think of like the old champion jerseys that you used to buy at JCPenney, where that material, it's not a patch, but it's just kind of pressed onto the jersey. Now, those were actually pretty common for some franchises in the past, like the Pistons used them in the 1980s, and then Panini used to use screen-printed nameplates for some of the rookies at the photo shoot, back when we had player-worn materials. But a screen-printed piece is still considered a patch. And there's another prime part of a jersey that most collectors consider to be a patch, albeit a less desirable form. That would be around the armholes and the neck hole. I guess you could say the waistband as well, because Panini and some of these other manufacturers have used a lot of pairs of shorts. Most people that I know of call this style of patch trim. I've heard people refer to it as piping in the past as well. And then similar to that, some teams have a sort of piping on the side panel of the jersey or the side of the shorts. I'm thinking mainly the Heat, the Lakers, the Pacers. I'm not a big fan of those pieces, but they are still considered patches nonetheless, so you will see those in some of the prime parallels. So while all of that stuff can and should be labeled a patch, a plain jersey relic should not. Maybe you want to call it a swatch, and that's okay, but it's not a patch. And I went through everything in detail just a moment ago, but a good general rule for material is, if it's been attached, it's a patch. If it hasn't, it's not. Then it's just a regular old jersey. So a good follow-up question might be, well, what if it has a pinstripe? Or what about those thick stripes built into some of the old Rockets jerseys or Hornets jerseys? And even though those are multicolored, they're still just plain jersey relics. And I know some people might think, well, what's the big deal? Why spend all this time, or why go all this trouble to differentiate between the two? Isn't it just semantics? But it's not really. This patch and jersey designation is one that manufacturers have used for over 2 decades now, because the nicer patch material was usually saved for the nicer parallels of any particular relic card, simply because there's less of it. For example, there was a Fleer insert in 2003 called Courting Greatness. You had the regular insert, which wasn't numbered at all. You had the Courting Greatness jersey that featured plain relics and was numbered to 350. And then you had the Courting Greatness patch parallel, which contained multicolor stitched pieces and was numbered to 150. And that's just one example of how that terminology has been used by manufacturers and price guides to differentiate between the two. And if you don't believe me, go on a site that relies on those designations like Beckett or ComC and type in patches. You're not going to see a bunch of plain jersey relics. And even if you do see something that's a one-color relic, it's still a prime material like a solid piece of a number or a team logo. So when people use these terms interchangeably on social media or eBay or as part of hobby content, just know that it muddies the water. And they might not intend to do that, but it muddies the waters. And believe it or not, something as simple as maintaining conventions helps the entire hobby ecosystem, regardless if you're buying patches or not. It helps us when we go to search cards. It ensures that they're logged correctly when we go to record sales data. That data helps us value and comp cards correctly in the future. And of particular interest to me, it helps to combat fraudulent behavior. I've studied and tracked relics for years, and I see it every day now. The way that we talk about them is changing. So, at the very least, let's try to educate ourselves and get it right for the sake of everyone involved. And it doesn't have to be super complicated. Like I said earlier, think of the material. If it's been attached, it's a patch. If it hasn't, it's not.